On August 28, 2003, a 46-year-old pizza delivery driver walked into a PNC bank in Erie, Pennsylvania with a live bomb locked around his neck. The device wasn't hidden. It wasn't strapped loosely. It was a heavy metal collar clamped around his neck with padlocks, connected to pipe bombs and a visible timer. He handed the teller a note demanding $250,000. He told them the bomb would explode if he didn't follow specific instructions. Less than 2 hours later, police officers stood about 50 feet away from him in a parking lot, watching the clock count down. At 3:18 p.m., the bomb detonated. The explosion killed him instantly. What followed was one of the strangest criminal investigations in FBI history, involving scavenger hunts, a freezer with a body inside, and a woman prosecutors later described as the mastermind behind it all. This is the true story of the pizza bomber heist. The man wearing the bomb was Brian Douglas Wells. He was 46 years old and worked as a delivery driver at Mamma Mia's Pizzeria in Erie. People described him as quiet, socially awkward, and a creature of habit. He lived alone in a small apartment and had worked the same job for years. On the afternoon of August 28th, Mamma Mia's received a phone order for 2 small sausage and pepperoni pizzas. The delivery address was to a remote TV transmission tower site at the end of a gravel road. Brian left around 1:30 p.m. to deliver the pizzas. He never returned to work. At approximately 2:30 p.m., Brian entered the PNC Bank on Peach Street. Security cameras captured him calmly approaching the teller. He handed over a typed note. The note demanded $250,000 and stated that he had only 15 minutes to get the money. It also warned that he was participating in a larger plan and that others were involved. The teller quickly realized something was wrong when she noticed the bulky object under his shirt. Brian lifted his shirt and revealed the metal collar bomb around his neck. However, the branch did not have immediate access to $250,000. The vault required additional authorization and time. Instead, the teller handed him approximately $8,700, the amount available in her drawer and nearby stations. Brian accepted the money without argument and left the bank. Surveillance footage showed no panic, no running, no shouting. He got into his Geo Metro and drove away. Shortly after the robbery, state troopers spotted Brian's car in a nearby parking lot outside a grocery store. When officers approached, Brian was sitting on the pavement beside his vehicle. He was handcuffed. He immediately told them the bomb was real. He said he had been forced to participate. He claimed that earlier that day he had been lured to the tower site where several men, whom he described as black males, restrained him and locked the bomb around his neck. He told police the bomb would explode unless he followed a set of instructions. Officers examined the device. It was not a fake. The collar was locked with multiple padlocks. The bomb appeared professionally constructed, with visible timers and pipe bomb components attached to a metal plate. The bomb squad was called, but they were too far away. At approximately 3:18 p.m., before technicians could arrive, the device detonated. The explosion tore through Brian's chest and neck area. He died at the scene. The incident was captured by local news cameras from a distance and quickly spread nationwide. A pizza delivery driver had just been killed by a collar bomb in broad daylight. Inside Brian's car, investigators discovered something bizarre. There were multiple pages of typed instructions addressed directly to him. The instructions outlined a detailed scavenger hunt. They directed Brian to drive to various pre-hidden locations around Erie County to retrieve keys and codes that would allegedly unlock the bomb. The documents contained precise times, threats, and warnings. They stated that if he deviated from the instructions, the bomb would detonate. The FBI later described the case as one of the most complicated investigations they had ever handled. Investigators followed the scavenger hunt instructions themselves. Some locations contained additional notes. Others led to nothing. The complexity of the plan suggested careful preparation. However, as investigators dug deeper, Brian's initial story about being forced by unknown men began to unravel. There was no physical evidence of an abduction at the tower site. Attention shifted toward people Brian may have known. And that's when detectives began looking at Marjorie Diehl-Armstrong. Marjorie Diehl-Armstrong was highly intelligent, manipulative, and had a long history of mental illness and criminal behavior. She had previously been involved in the suspicious shooting death of a boyfriend, though she was acquitted on self-defense grounds. Investigators learned that she had been in a dispute over her father's estate and inheritance. According to prosecutors, Marjorie wanted money, and she wanted her father dead. The robbery, they argued, was meant to raise funds to hire someone to carry out that murder. Another key figure was William Bill Rothstein, Marjorie's former boyfriend. Rothstein was mechanically skilled and capable of building complex devices. Investigators later concluded that Rothstein constructed the collar bomb. In 2004, while dying of cancer, Rothstein admitted involvement in the plot and provided crucial information before his death. During a search of Rothstein's home, police made a shocking discovery. Inside a freezer, they found the body of James Roden. Roden had been shot and stored in the freezer for months. Authorities concluded that Marjorie had killed Roden during a dispute and that Rothstein helped conceal the body. Another conspirator, Kenneth Barnes, eventually pleaded guilty to his role in the plot and cooperated with prosecutors. The prosecution argued that Brian Wells was not completely innocent. They believe he knew he was participating in a robbery. However, they argued he may not have known the bomb was fully functional. Whether he believed it was fake, or whether he realized too late that it was real, remains debated. Marjorie Diehl-Armstrong was convicted in 2010 of conspiracy and bank robbery charges related to the pizza bomber case. She was sentenced to life in prison and died there in 2017. Kenneth Barnes served time after pleading guilty. Bill Rothstein died in 2004 before he could stand trial. The biggest unresolved question remains Brian Wells. Was he an unwilling victim forced into a deadly scheme? Or was he a participant who underestimated the danger of the people he trusted? The FBI maintains he was involved to some extent. His family insists he was manipulated and terrified. The Netflix documentary series Evil Genius brought renewed attention to the case, highlighting its complexity and moral ambiguity. Even after convictions, not every detail of the plan has been fully explained. The pizza bomber case stands out in American criminal history because of its sheer complexity. A functioning collar bomb, a multi-page scavenger hunt, a freezer hiding a body, a conspiracy involving greed, manipulation, and mental illness. It was not a simple robbery gone wrong. It was a carefully constructed plan that spiraled into a public execution. And more than 20 years later, one question still divides people. Was Brian Wells a victim or part of the plot? Let me know what you think in the comments. If this breakdown helped you understand the case, like the video. Subscribe for more detailed true crime stories, and remember, sometimes the strangest cases are the ones that actually happened. Thanks for watching.